Hello folks and welcome to episode, is it 14? I think it's episode 14, let me check. Because I'm not too sure about this. Check my fucking Facebook in case I'm leading you astray. So it's episode something anyway, whatever. It's episode 14 folks. Welcome to Square's Realm. Today we're going to talk about, well, I've got a load of fucking subjects written down. Don't quite know where to go with them, but I suppose first of all we could talk about a guy called Barret Brown. Barret Brown was basically an anonymous activist. He started a thing called Operation Metal Gear, and he was very much interested in the fact that America and the world at large would become a surveillance state. And we only have to look at today with the coronavirus and all the surveillance technology being implemented through that. May it be apps tracking where you are, completely green lighted for government, or just the routine medical checkups and stuff like that. We're pretty much entering a surveillance state now, and it's kind of what this guy warned about, Barret Brown. He was kind of like an unofficial leader of Anonymous. He wasn't actually a leader of Anonymous. He was speaking for them on behalf of the good that they were doing. He was very much into the idea that they were a hive mind, and it was basically the aim of the people that could direct their political foresight and basically wreck their chaotic fucking politic on the word and on government and stuff like that. And he was very much an unofficial spokesman. He started in that Operation Metal Gear. He managed to infiltrate emails by a company called HB Gary, and what he was doing was he was scanning those emails, and he was able to find out that the FBI agents and stuff like that there, they could have one person controlling up to 50 or 100 bots at one time, having conversations with people, fixing with political debate, and it would be one guy operating 50 accounts at the one time. So any conversation would pop up, he would be able to, steer politics. So basically what it means is, if he had 1,000 of those guys working for the government, controlling 50 bots each, you would have 50,000 common populace affecting votes and stuff online, and mixing up conversations and stuff like that. But your man Barret Brown was a fucking some boy, hey. He started off as a journalist. He's currently doing something like 50 years in prison for not reporting a stolen laptop. It wasn't even stolen, it was his own laptop that the government gave him the highest charge, 3 counts I think it was of charges he got dropped against him, and they gave him the highest counts in each charge, adding up to a total of about 50 years for basically not reporting a laptop that he had to the government. If you've ever seen a documentary called We Are Legion, the story of the hacktivists, he featured kind of heavily in that there as a reporter and stuff, reporting on Anonymous activities. And he's basically just a real fucking smart guy that was into the work that Anons were doing. He came along the path of his intellectual curiosity, and he discovered that Anons and Anonymous themselves could possibly take down nation states. It wouldn't just be DDS attacks or DNS attacks, what is it? But it wouldn't be just DDS attacks and stuff like that there on websites, but they actually could control information flow and effectively take down corrupt governments. And once the FBI got wind of this year, they got heavily into tracking down this Barret Brown boy and giving him a hard time. But he's a brilliant writer, bit of a genius in fact. many writers that know him, including the lawyers and stuff that dealt with him, they thought he was a bit of a fucking genius. They said, you know, he's a very hard to work with man, but he's a hilarious, and his writing abilities, you know, his journalistic work would be very satire. One of the things he said when he was arrested for 50 years, he said he wrote a satirical article, and he wrote, "Good job. The FBI have just locked me up for 50 years so I could study the industrial war complex." You know what I mean? But I was a bit of an ad lib. He said something more than that, was sharper than that, but that's basically the sort of sense of humour he has. You know, he's sent down for 50 years, and he's able to write satirical fucking articles about it and find the humour in it. So it says a lot about his character. But I watched a documentary recently, the story of Barret Brown, and his girlfriend and everything was this cookie girl. She seemed really cool, hey? Seemed like a very attractive fucking girl, and I was a bit surprised, to be honest, to see a guy like that going out with her. She was very cookie and cool. But this guy is doing jail time now, and he's probably getting his ass ripped 15 times a day in prison because he talks very, you know, so very snobby and snobbish. And I don't think a guy like that, especially a white guy, weighing about 130 pounds, his ass will be getting pummeled in American prisons. So it's a shame that he's even been fucking put on there. But him becoming the unofficial spokesman for Anonymous basically made him incriminated as a leader. Soon after, the FBI went after him. They said, you know, we gotta get this fucking cunt. It's almost like the Aaron Swartz character I talked about in the last documentary, I think it was, or the last podcast. But he's very much an information fucking spreader, and a big believer in the idea that the people can lead themselves and there should be no censorship as far as fragile information goes. A bit of a Julian Assange before Julian Assange got all the media hype. But one of the things he famously said was that the atomic bomb is not a powerful weapon, but a USB stick is. You know, so that's the age we're living in, where it's not, we don't blow up entire countries anymore. We do our destroying of governments through USB pens and computer code. You know what I mean? So that's the kind of guy he is. So he uses information as a weapon. Barret Brown, you call him. Very interesting guy. And when the FBI did sting him and raid him eventually, they got him in his home apartment, and the conversation is live. You can actually get it online. You'll find it on YouTube. Just type in Barret Brown raid, and the FBI actually stunned him while he was having a webcam chat with a couple of Anon members themselves. You know, he done a lot of fucking time. He's doing a lot of time. And basically he's been in prison for being a journalist. One of the things that they were trying to incriminate him on in this case is the fact that if he gets arrested, if he actually serves time and does his 50 years and goes down, you know, it'll not only be a dent to journalism, it'll also be a dent to anybody trying to speak up against the surveillance state. And basically the law entangled with this guy is that if he's convicted, it'll basically mean that anybody can be convicted then for sharing links. Now, currently, the internet, you cannot be incriminated for sharing links because the internet, law is sketchy and unwritten, and it has to be dealt with in criminal courts. So, effectively, if this guy fucking goes down, everybody else will be able to go down in an Interpol fucking court for sharing links, and that'll just be the end of the internet and the end of anons and stuff getting together and sharing information. So he's a guy I wanted to talk to you about, type Barret Brown. If you get a chance to, check out a documentary that he features on heavily called We Are Legion. I think it's called Rise of the Hacktivists. We Are Legion. The story of Anonymous, something like that. We Are Legion is the name for the documentary, but you'll find that on YouTube. It's usually taken down and put back up again, but it's a very informative chat on this whole surveillance state and how they're kicking on hackers first. and it'll just be a minute at a time before they're kicking on the likes of me and you. So again, I use this podcast to spread information that might not be getting hits. I mean, we all know Julian Assange, and we all know the big dogs in the information game, but we don't really know some of these guys who are working with anons and being journalists that are getting persecuted. So I thought I'd tell you a bit about him. So 10 minutes since, folks, and that was Barret Brown. So look him up. Hey, maybe I didn't get across. I got a load of ball points down here writing up about what he's about. But he's basically a guy who uses information as a weapon. His house was raided when he was 7 years of age, and he's seen the FBI and CIA and all come in and arrest his father. And it's sort of like a death wish blood fucking feud for him. You know, he wants to get them, he kind of wanted to get the powers that be back by using power. The power of the sword and the power, as I said, of the USB stick. But he's a cool guy, and definitely worth getting your fucking YouTube socks on to find out about him. But another thing I suppose I want to talk about is having drug stories and that there, and telling you about the crack with that there. I'll tell you about the time I tried fucking pure codeine opioids. That a friend of mine, he was turned into a bit of a drug addict, to be honest. He's a good lad, but he had fucking problems. And one day he introduced me to fucking codeine. Now let me get something straight about this here. I'm not recommending you do this. When I talk about the pleasurable qualities of this drug, I hope that I'm not encouraging anybody out there to go seek pleasure in them, because the addiction potential in these drugs are sky high. They ruin lives, they turn people into heroin addicts, they cause great anxiety that you wouldn't have had beforehand. They will completely fucking cook your head. So don't do them, and don't listen to this here thinking it's any way a cool story about opioids, because it's definitely not. I've seen them ruin most of my friends' lives. Seen, not most of my friends, but a lot of my friends, some of my closest people, they've turned them the wrong way, just, you know. But the first time I took it, my friend, we'll call him Jay, Jay said, you know, try them like this here, you know, crunch them up, at them. I said, well, overdose. He goes, you're not overdose. And I said, many times have you overdosed? He goes, about 5 or 6 times, sir. But you'll be grand. But that day I couldn't get a bit of weed. Funnily enough, isn't that how a lot of addictions start? You can't get one drug and it leads you into another drug. But I couldn't get no weed that day, and I was struggling away, you know, I was fucking griping for fucking action. And he introduced me to some opioids, codeine phosphate, I think the name is for them, to be precise. But they were munched up, and they were just wee tiny white pills, about that big. And I cut them up like fuck, crunched them, ate them. For half an hour, I was in complete euphoria. I mean, I was sitting there going, every time a problem would enter my mind, I would just go, and it would just go away, and I was literally sitting there in the most blissful, content, non-anxiety free fucking buzz for about 8 hours of that day. It was my first family. I'd say it would be very similar to what heroin is, only the euphoria must be a lot stronger in heroin. As a first time user, I'd say, you know, your first time taking heroin, you'll probably throw up, so it probably would be like a first time getting hit of heroin. I can't say I know that either, like, because I've never took it, but obviously heroin's stronger and more brutal of a drug. But these pills are getting handed out hand over fist by your doctor in a pharmacy, and this let me get some grasp information about how addictive and how anxiety fucking removing these drugs are. They then throw anxiety at you 100 times worse down the line when you become addicted. But that day I went to an art gallery for a few periods, as I told you in previous episodes, but anxiety got the better of me from continuing that fucking you know, that wee conquest in art. And that day when I took them codeine, about 2 hours into the buzz, my anxiety completely disappeared. All the anxiety feelings I had about going down to the art gallery and mingling with people, I was up. In fact, I was within an hour or two, I was going, I can go and make plans again. I can go down to the art gallery and make plans. And I went down that day and talked to the boy that taught me and all, and was saying, I'm making plans. He had no ideas, but my eyes were like 2 fucking dots. And I made all these wild ideas and arrangements and plans and how we could all get sorted back together and we'll all go do the art again, and don't worry, anxiety's gone, I'm completely normal now, feel grand. It was all in my fucking head, it was nothing but opioid fucking buzz. I was going, well, I'll just get over all my anxiety now, I'll just keep taking opioids. And 2 days later, when I was supposed to go down there at an appointment, I just couldn't get out of my all and go down there again. I had all the anxiety had returned. And then I realised then at that moment, I said, well, why don't I just take a wee codeine and I'll be able to go down? But of course the codeine going down would have led on to another 3 days, another 4 days, I would have been addicted, and then I would have been sucking dicks in the back of Frankie Ramsey's for more codeine. So the positive attributes I got from that drug on that day alone was enough for me to go, that there's a fucking illusion. That is pure fake. That's pure that removes all your problems, but given to you 10 times longer. You know, a lot of friends going around now gaunt and their all cheeks are sucked down because they had these small anxiety problems and they got onto codeine rather than going to a fucking counsellor or getting some therapy or talking to friends. They're all sucked down now and they're all fucked up on codeine. So that could have been me, and I knew pretty rapidly that it was too good to be true. It was such a great buzz, I'm not going to lie, when I talk honestly about it. It was a fantastic drug, and obviously that's why people get onto it, because the drug is so fucking good, you know. But that day I was making all these wild plans, completely anxiety free, making plans about the future, going, I could do this, I could do that. But it was all codeine based. It didn't cure my anxiety. It put a mask on real feelings, you know. But codeine is fucking destructive, folks, and the sad thing is it's been handed out over fist by your doctors. The wee lads going on with backache or something, next thing, within a matter of months, they're shooting up fucking heroin. And the heroin problem, as you can probably see, is got fucking terrible in Derry. Everybody's walking around like zombies. Literally, you'd think it was spice capital of the fucking world or something. Everybody's fucking cooked. So I stay the fuck away from opioids, folks. Codeine, heroin, painkillers, Subutex, you're taking, stay the fuck away from them, because they feel brilliant to begin with, but then you're just taking them to feel normal and skip the fucking heavy withdrawals you'll be getting from them. As I said before, that day alone was one of the most blissful days of my life, but I was sharp enough to know not to go back to it again, because it was too good to be true. It wasn't a serious addiction like weed, where day in, day out, you know, slowly but surely you get addicted. That there stuff was pretty much solved all my problems, like that. But of course, the problems would have just came back 10 times worse, like they did with a lot of people I know. They end up fucked up on it, ODing 5 or 6 times, like, just because you want to take a drug. Nah, stick the weed, hey, I'll stick the weed. Hey, you want a codeine? No, I'll stick the weed. Know what I mean? But I suppose another thing I want to talk about is the Columbine massacre. That's something that always fascinated me, was school shooters. Being a bit of a bullied kid myself. I remember fantasizing at one time, thinking if I got a shotgun I could just shoot all these fucking bullies' heads off. So the story of the Columbine massacre sort of interested me. It happened on April 20th, 1999 by Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold, two basically misfits. They were 2 bullies. There's a lot of rumours going around that they were on an exclusive club in their school called the Trenchcoat Mafia. But these guys were 2 complete outcasts. They weren't even in it. Trenchcoat Mafia which was like a collection of weirdos. These guys were total outcasts. That day they planned it for months, and they went down, put fucking, you know, propane bombs in the cafeteria, set them all around the school. When they went on shooting that day, you know, apparently they just walked onto the playground, and all the fucking guys at school thought it was a prank. They threw down smoke bombs, and it was actually explosive, but the smoke bombs didn't go on, and all the kids in the class were going, oh look, Dylan and fucking Eric are fucking having a laugh, they're making smoke bombs. And they were all cheering and stuff. Next thing, pulled out a shotgun, boom, started shooting the fuck out of their schoolmates. And all the boys were fucking running and screaming, and one of the victims was stopped, and she said, please don't help me, or please help me. And if it was Dylan, turned around and said, I'll help you. Boom, blew her fucking head off. And I remember seeing Marilyn Manson talk about them and in the documentary Bowling for Columbine, and Michael Moore says to Marilyn Manson, because at the time Marilyn Manson got a lot of rap for his metal records, being blamed for encouraging them to shoot because they wore trench coats and stuff like that. But Michael Moore says to him, how do you feel at during the time of that shooting, Bill Clinton had bombed so many fucking people in Kosovo, and he says, what, I think that is a really interesting statistic, or a really interesting bit of information. And then Michael Moore says to him, what would you say? Tell them if you met Dylan and Eric now. And Marilyn Manson turns around and says, I wouldn't tell him a goddamn thing. He said, I think I would listen to them because that's what nobody else did. But it's such a shame on all those people that died, 13 in fact, and a lot of people injured, paralysed, Paddy and all that there too. But just a shame that sort of shit happens in America. No, the whole jock mentality and bullying in schools, that bullying gets so bad over there that fucking people are driven to come in and shoot the fuck out of their schoolmates. And it's also quite weird that on April 20th, the day it happened, was also Adolf Hitler's birthday, and many people believe that they might have been white supremacists or something like that there, but it turned out that no. Some suspected that they planned it for the day before, and in the 19th of April, that was actually when the Oklahoma bombing was committed. It was the anniversary of the Oklahoma bombing, so they might not have even been interested in white supremacy. It might have been connected to the Oklahoma bombing and stuff like that there, which Timothy McVeigh done. Blown up a large building because of the ATF. But funnily enough, there was Bismuth tapes released, 5 Bismuth tips they were called, and it was basically them talking on camera about what they planned to do with a shooting and that there, and 2 out of the fucking 5 Bismuth tips were released, and the other 3 were completely destroyed. And some suspect that the other 3 that were destroyed by the FBI because they actually had a solid motive and political reasoning behind the shootings. It wasn't so much 2 mindless kids going crazy, but there was like a political ethos to what they were doing. And funnily enough, their parents were arms fucking distributors, and fucking they made rockets and all for wars. They worked for Halliburton, I think it was. So their parents were active in the war game, and some conspire and theorise that those Bismuth tips may have exposed the fact that they were angry at the mindless murder their parents were doing, and it wasn't just a case of 2 weirdos shooting up a school because they were bullied. But yeah, it's fucking weird, hey, the Columbine massacre, the trenchcoat mafia. And their video rehearsals as well. They done a lot of video rehearsals, and some of those videos are online. But they're 2 daft fuckers, eh? 2 daft cunts. And there's a lot of rumours going around that one of them was actually a good guy, and the other guy was more of the mastermind. It was seen in Eric Harris's book that he had sympathised with the Nazis and stuff like that there. So it's one of them thing. But one of the peculiar ideas that I heard about the Bowling for Columbine massacre was that there was a third gunman involved. A lot of reports on the day when the massacre happened reported seeing a third gunman, and some suspect it might be this other guy, which I can't name on the podcast because it could be done for fucking libel, sued from abroad for saying this. But there's a theory that there was a third gunman involved, because when they actually committed suicide in the library, the gunshot wounds were opposite sides of their head from where they would have been pointing, meaning either one killed himself from a changed hand and killed himself from the other hand, or else there was a third gunman and he didn't die, and the 3 of them blew each other's heads off, because for them 2 to be standing fisting each other and shoot each other, the gunshot one was at the other side of the head from where they were standing. So there's actual criminal logistics, and they prove that they may not have blew their fucking heads off. It may have been somebody else. But that's going on the Sandy Hook material and conspiracy theory central. there's no real solid evidence for that apart from testimonies and somebody reporting seeing somebody at the roof shooting down. But I found it very suspicious when I seen those library photos. Some of them are on the dark web. You can see where they committed suicide, you know. And it is very suspicious looking. It doesn't look like they blew each other's heads off, you know. But the Columbine massacre, pretty interesting. Hey, you know, crazy now that when we look at the world and that's all you hear every fucking year is another fucking school shooting. So it's fucking crazy. But hey folks, I've got a load of other wee things I wanted to talk about. I've got about 7 subjects here, but I'll just keep it swift with a wee small one. I just wanted to talk about this British soldier, something I found out the other day when I was talking there a few podcasts back. I was talking about how the British soldiers used to come through the bog side and they would come over by us as kids and like let us look through their telescopes and all. And in a way, that memory of mine was kind of jaded. I thought they were friendly. But I just found out recently that was protocol by the British Army, and they actually referred to us as cowards because we wouldn't shoot and have open fire amongst children. Those British officers said that in this documentary, and actually they were encouraged by the British Army to zigzag through children because they knew that the Brits or the IRA were cowards and they wouldn't shoot fire on the children. So that's how brutal the British Army are. They let they open fire amongst children. They don't give a fuck. But those stories that I affectionately held, thinking not all Brits are bad, and when they were letting me look at their telescope, it was actually a British Army protocol. They get children close to you so the IRA wouldn't shoot at you. So when that guy was letting me look through the telescope down at James Connolly's house, he wasn't being friendly with me. He was using this wee Catholic kid to come over and potentially save himself from being shot at. So they're cold fucking bastards, them Brits, you know what I mean? That's what I realise. I know they all say the IRA are hurtless bastards, like, but Jesus, that's fucking a bit of a fucking shrewd tactic to be doing during a time of war, using children as fucking human shields. So that's a nostalgic fucking memory from childhood destroyed. 2020, I'm realising that maybe all Brits are bastards after all. Back in the day I was thinking, oh no, they're alright, no, they let me look through their telescope. But no, but I don't mean that, folks, the British people at home. I'm talking about the military fucking side of things. I'm talking from the frame of reference of what happened in my hometown where, you know, 13 people were shot dead in the street in one day in my neighbourhood, the neighbourhood I grew up in, the Bogside. So folks, I just got a wee blast there today. I didn't think I was going to get one of these done because today, as you can probably see, I'm not smoking crazy cigarettes. I've actually gone off a drink now. I'm 5 days sober, which is good. I'm fucking happy about that. But hopefully we'll get some of these more done soon. But for now, folks, I'll let that go at 27 minutes. Till next time, never let the bastards grind you down. Up life.